Hi everybody, I'm Pia from Stitches and Scraps. The folks over at Artesprix recently sent me some free samples to try out and review for you. So I used them and I'm going to show you how to make this cute butterfly coaster. For this project, Artesprix sent me these permanent thermal transfer markers, this coaster blank, some thermal tape, and these sheets of silicone paper, which are used to protect your surface and your heating element. Speaking of a heating element, you will need something to heat the project up with because the color does transfer with heat. So it's designed for use with heating presses, but if, like me, if you don't have one, an iron, just a regular everyday household iron, will work just as well. So other items that you'll need to finish this project, you'll need a design that you want to transfer. To make this butterfly, I used my Filet Crochet Butterfly pattern, which I printed out to the right size and then went over and traced with a permanent marker. I will get a PDF of this and include it in the post for this project, and I'll include a link. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'll include a link in the description. So that's everything you need, and now let's get started making this butterfly coaster. Now underneath here I have some newsprint. As some of you may know, I'm in the process of packing and moving, so I have tons of this stuff lying around. I just took one big sheet and I folded it. I think this is 4 layers thick, just to protect my work surface from things like that, bleed through, that kind of thing. So now we're ready to get started, and the first step is going to be to trace this design onto another piece of paper. This step would be much easier if I had a light table, but I do not, so I don't know if you can see, but you can sort of see the butterfly design show up through the paper, and that's why I traced it with a dark black marker. And now I'm going to actually just follow that outline and trace it in black with the Artesprix pens. They've got a chisel tip, if you notice, so that I can use a thick line or a thin line wherever I need it. So let's see how well I do with this. Drawing is not necessarily one of my skills. Okay, my outline has been traced, and now I get to fill in all the gaps and draw the picture with the markers. Since I made a mistake here with the black, I think I'm going to go ahead and fill the body in with black, or at least the head, just to cover up that little mistake I made. Now you'll notice that the colors look a little bit dull as I'm doing this, but once we apply heat, they react to that and they become much brighter. So they'll look more like the colors on the end caps of the pens than they do on the paper right now. Okay, there's my butterfly done. Now it's time to transfer it onto the coaster. So let's start working on that. So we're going to create a sandwich here. First, this sheet to protect the surface, then the coaster, and now it is shiny on one side and not shiny on the other side. So we're going to put the shiny side down because we want the not shiny side to show on top. Now I'm actually going to cut out my butterfly roughly because I want to have some areas around the edge where I can tape it to the coaster to make sure I'm holding it in place. So I'm just going to roughly cut, plus this will help me to position it nicely. I made a mistake here. You're about to see me tape this down with tape going right over the image. When Artesprix saw this, they explained that since the tape is heat resistant, it stops some of the heat from getting through and can make for an uneven transfer. So the tape should be on the edges only and not touching the actual image when you do this. So I've got my butterfly roughly cut out, and I'm going to position it face down onto the coaster so that the picture is nicely centered exactly how I want it to be. I think that looks good. So now I need to tape it in place to hold it down. Well, luckily, Artesprix also sent me some thermal transfer tape. So this is again heat safe, and I'm going to use it just to tape my picture in place a little bit. So my pattern's all taped down, and now I'm going to finish my sandwich with another piece of silicone paper. So now I have a nice silicone sandwich that I can iron onto. If you have a heat press or some machine that does heat transfer, that's great. That's what these are designed for, but you can use it without any fancy equipment. I am just using a regular plain old iron. And they say, now this isn't plugged in, so don't freak out that I'm holding it by the bottom. That's just for the camera. It does say that you don't want any steam. So I have this set, you want it high heat but no steam. So I have this set at about rayon, which is the highest that my iron goes without adding any steam. So I'm going to set it for that and let it heat for a second, and then come back and iron this on. Okay, the iron is hot, and now the instructions that came with the pens said to apply the iron for 1 to 5 minutes and keep moving it around so as not to scorch the fabric if you're doing it onto fabric. But the instructions that came with the coaster said to hold it stationary for 5 minutes while applying some light pressure. So I'm going to go with that. I think the coaster is less likely to scorch than fabric and needs more heat is probably all it comes down to. So I don't know if my thing is actually covering the entire image. Let me check. Yes, well, that's convenient. My iron actually covers the entire surface of the image, so I don't have to do multiple batches. If the image was larger or my iron was smaller, I would have to hold it for 5 minutes in each section. So we're going to keep doing this, wait for 5 minutes, and then I'll come back. I finished ironing on the image, and I've let it cool. It's actually still pretty warm. It's been cooling for about 10 minutes. Make sure it's cool enough to hold before you try to pick it up. This gets really, really hot when you iron it for that long. And now the image, let's see, it should have transferred onto this, and you can see it's already so much brighter than it was. But now when I peel this paper away, oh, that tape's pretty strong, isn't it? There we go. When I peel the paper away, you can see that the image transferred onto the coaster. This is the back, and this is how pretty it looks from the front. Isn't that neat? So you can draw whatever you want with these markers, and you just basically iron it on, and you get a nice pretty image. And the colors are definitely brighter. It looks much better now than it did on the paper before. Even on the paper it looks brighter than it did when I first colored it. So that is how you make a coaster with these Artesprix permanent thermal transfer markers. I hope you enjoyed the project. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends, or leave me a comment. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel for more great videos. Thanks for watching.